Yo, what is going on, everyone? It is your boy Coozco, and I am bringing you another Destiny 2 build video here today. This time we are on my Arc Titan doing a Thunderclap build. Now, if you are wondering, we did do all of the testing for the Synthoseps with Thunderclap, and we did do all of the testing for Worm Gods. And we have broken down a lot of numbers for you guys. So first off, in this build video, I will have a ad clearing part and I will have a boss damage part. Just because if you want to do the max damage on your Titan, you will have to swap builds mid-fight in order to get the max damage off. However, while you are ad clearing or doing anything other than boss damage, you will have a certain build that you can use. So let's go ahead and go over what you're going to want to use for ad clearing. First of all, you're going to want point contact cannon brace. This makes your Thunderclap regenerate energy while you get hits with your melee ability. And it also chains lightning while you are amplified. So this is going to be huge for ad clearing and staying alive. And yes, I did do testing with this build in endgame activities such as raids, lost sectors, and it does just fine, honestly. You do have healing from your aspects and your fragments in your skill tree, so you should be fine as long as you keep your abilities in rotation. And we are going to be using the same aspects and fragments on both boss damage and ad clearing. That way when we swap builds, we do not lose our super. Therefore, for our aspects, we have Touch of Thunder as well as Knockout. And for our fragments, we have Spark of Beacons, Spark of Shock, Spark of Magnitude, as well as Spark of Resistance. In our aspect section, our Touch of Thunder is going to give our pulse grenade increased damage over time, and it is going to create ionic traces for us, which will help us get our class ability back very fast. Next, we have Knockout. While critically wounding a target or breaking their shield, infuses your melee attacks with arc energy and increases your melee range and damage for a short time. Now, Knockout is one of the only buffs that you can expect to activate while actually in a boss phase, so just keep in mind that Knockout is your best friend. Just because all you have to do to attain it is look at an enemy, kill him, and then turn back and do your damage on the boss. You will have 5 seconds of Knockout being activated after you kill that enemy. I will also give you some damage numbers on what Synthoseps does with and without this, as well as Worm God. And moving on to our fragments, Spark of Beacon. While you are amplified, your arc special weapon final blows create a blinding explosion. This is huge because we are always using arc weapons, and this is going to blind any enemy while we are amplified. On top of that, we do have Jolt, just so our grenades do extra damage with Spark of Shock. Then with Spark of Magnitude, we are increasing our pulse grenade's duration. And last but not least, we are using Spark of Resistance, just that way we don't die. While surrounded by combatants, you are more resistant to incoming damage. Those are the fragments. Now I'm going to go over what I have for my mods as well on my pieces of gear. Here's my helmet, arms, chest, leg, and mark, if you want to copy and paste these as well. And weapons that you are going to want to use with this build are obviously Tractor Cannon for that increased melee damage when you do have it. Then I recommend a Chain Reaction Grenade Launcher. If you have a Forbearance, which is the Wave Frame Arc Grenade Launcher, it can roll with Chain Reaction and Ambitious Assassin. If you have one of those, definitely put that on. If not, just use the Salvager Salvo that we all should have acquired in Season of the Chosen. Also, if you don't want to run Tractor Cannon as your exotic because you won't really need that extra melee damage since you are just doing ad clearing with this build, you can go ahead and run Delicate Tomb, Trinity Ghoul, or Risk Runner. They are all great for this build. Obviously, Risk Runner gives you that superconductor, so you would just be able to throw your grenade at yourself, and then you can go ahead and go ham with the Risk Runner. The Trinity Ghoul fires arrows that split and do arc damage to other enemies that are nearby, so that is going to be huge for ad clearing and keeping your amplified up. And we also have Delicate Tomb with Tempest Cascade, which collecting ionic traces overcharges this fusion rifle, jolting on the next hit. Now we will show you where we did the testing and what we will be doing for boss damage. So starting off, we have Synthoseps with a base damage of 199,000 with only the Synthoseps perk active. This is with no Tractor Cannon. This is just the base damage of what Synthoseps can do. On top of that, if you add Tractor Cannon to Synthoseps, you can do 259,000. Therefore, if we really wanted to, we could go into our subclass, and instead of Spark of Resistance, we would equip Spark of Feedback, because this is going to give us extra melee damage when we take melee damage. And I did do testing with this, so Synthoseps with Spark of Feedback and Tractor Cannon combined gives you 363,626 damage. Now, also, I figured if we are using Spark of Feedback, we can also activate Knockout with the Tractor Cannon. So we did just that. With Synthoseps, Knockout, no Spark of Feedback, and a Tractor Cannon shot, it does a little bit less than what Tractor Cannon with Spark of Feedback does, evening out at around 325,000. Now, if we wanted to combine all of these, combining Knockout with Spark of Feedback and Tractor Cannon while having the Synthoseps perk active, we can hit a whopping 486,999 damage. When I first did this testing, I thought that this was some great damage. This is damn near how much your super can do. Being able to activate all of these and hit a boss is going to be very hard, so I narrowed it down to pretty much just Synthoseps with a Tractor Cannon and Knockout. So you should be able to hit for 324,666 with Synthoseps, Knockout, and Tractor Cannon. This is because Spark of Feedback requires you to get meleeed in order to get that extra melee damage, whereas Knockout just requires you to get a kill or do any significant amount of damage to anyone, and you activate it for 5 seconds. Surely after doing this testing, I thought that Synthoseps was going to definitely take the cake for highest damage. However, we moved on to Worm God and it gets even better. Starting off with the base damage of Worm God with ×5 Burning Fist, you can get 312,179 damage. And keep in mind, this is with no Tractor Cannon. This is the base damage of Worm God. Adding to that, if you add Knockout along with Tractor Cannon and a ×5 Burning Fist, you can get this number up to 405,832. And then maxing this damage out, which of course you will never get on a boss damage phase unless you do it many times and get the timing correct. Worm God with Knockout, Spark of Feedback, Tractor Cannon, and a ×5 Burning Fist can get you 608,748 damage. This literally does more than your super. However, it is very hard to activate. I only activated this around 3 or 4 times out of the 15 or so times that I tried to test this out. So it is very hard to activate. You need to kill an enemy to activate Knockout. You only have 5 seconds for Knockout. Also, while you are charging your melee attack, hopefully a Scion melees you or anything melees you so you can get that Spark of Feedback. You also need to shoot a Tractor Cannon shot before you acquire your Knockout. That way you don't have to waste time on shooting him with the Tractor Cannon shot after you've acquired these buffs. And not only that, you have to kill 5 enemies with your melee to get Burning Fist ×5, and that buff also runs out in 5 seconds. So these are all 5-second buffs, and they are very hard to get all at once. However, that 608,000 does not lie, and it is for sure one of the best melee builds I have seen so far. I also did test the base damage of Thunder Crash with Tractor Cannon, and that came out to around 577,180 damage. This is also with Cuirass. Therefore, if we do our loadout swap, we should technically be able to hit for 836,913 damage if we have Synthoseps and we use our Thunderclap with our Tractor Cannon, because we would be able to get 259,733 damage out of just that, as long as the Synthoseps perk is active and we get a Tractor Cannon shot. Then after that, you can swap to your Cuirass build, which you should have a loadout for, and you would be able to hit for 577,180 damage, making that a total of 836,913 damage with just your Thunderclap and Thundercrash. Then if you really wanted to, if you have a boss that has a lot of ads nearby, you can do 405,832 damage with your Worm God. All you would have to do is activate ×5 Burning Fist and get a tractor cannon shot on him. While you are activating that ×5 Burning Fist, you will activate knockout as well, because you will be critically wounding one of the enemies that you are hitting. Once you get that ×4, you need to hit the boss with a tractor cannon. Then you turn around, melee another enemy, get that ×5, make sure you have knockout as well, and then you can use your Thunderclap, but it has to be right after you get that ×5, and this will give you some great damage numbers. And we can also swap off of this build because we will have the loadouts, and you can swap to your cuirass with this and you can do an extra 577,180 damage, making the Worm God combined with cuirass a total of 983,012 damage. If you were able to activate everything, you would be able to hit for over 1,000,000, but that honestly just isn't realistic. I honestly think the Synthoseps number is a lot more realistic because it is a lot less hard to activate, and there are usually ads nearby bosses, or at least close enough to where you can activate your biotic enhancements. And I would rather take a consistent 800k over a very inconsistent 900k. Now that is all the testing that we did for the Worm God and Synthoseps, just because I wanted to see what that boss damage is actually looking like with this. And it is looking very good, honestly, in my opinion. I'm going to try this out in a lot of raids, a lot of boss damage encounters, and we will see where this takes us. I'm also going to try and find ways to make this even stronger. Please let me know in the comments if I missed out on any melee buffs that I could have been getting. Other than that, that is pretty much the build. I hope you all liked this video, as I did do a melee hunter build, so I wanted to see what the melee titan build is all about, and I am honestly really liking this. So overall, definitely focus on point contact cannon brace as your ad clearing. After that, I would switch to Synthoseps and cuirass for boss damage. And that is basically it. I hope you all did enjoy, as these tests did take me some time to do. However, I did have a lot of fun making this because I was really curious about what the damage numbers were going to turn out to be, and I was really surprised. Now, before I get out of here, I hope this build really did help you out, and if it did, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, be sure to appreciate everything and everyone around you. I hope you all have a great day. I love you all, and enjoy the rest of the gameplay. Yeah, it's gonna be my last one too.
Going to bed after this one. Oh my god, you are hideous.
Shut up.
Okay, my bad.
I'm gonna
Don't
look
say
at the
anything.
end of the raid too.
Alright, go ready? Sure, be good? See?
Hold on. One more shader.
Oh my god.
I know exactly what color to put. I just can't find it. There it is.
Can't wait for that flying auto rifle buff, man.